Hello, this is Joey at Joey Central, and welcome to the very beginning of my programming tutorial series. Now, before we get started, I just want to say one thing. In this video, I'm going to assume that you have your IDE installed for whatever respective operating system that you are using. So, if you're using Windows, you should have Visual Studio, and if you are using Mac, you should have Xcode. If you don't have any of these IDEs, or you don't have any IDE for that matter, then I suggest going back to my previous video that I uploaded. I will have that in the description down below. But anyways, in this video, I want to help you get acquainted with some resources that will be a great help when it comes to either looking up a particular method of an object in the standard library that you are working with, or a resource where other programmers encountered a similar problem that you are encountering in your programming endeavors. And I just want to say as well that if any of these terminologies don't make any sense to you, then do not fret. Because as time goes on, it will make sense to you and you will have a better understanding on what is what. And the lingo kind of comes along with it. So don't panic if you don't understand it. This is definitely designed for people who never programmed before. And, you know, even though it's C++ and it is a really hard programming language according to many different programmers, and rightfully so, it is a very good language to kind of getting your feet wet, like getting into the waters and knowing what is expected in the industry as a whole. Because unless you get into an object-oriented programming language like C++ or Java, then to be honest with you, you can't really consider programming as more than just a hobby. I mean, there's going to be many people who disagree with that, but I mean, this is just my opinion, but yeah. And also, you're welcome to use my video's comments section to ask your questions that are related to the topic discussed, and I will do my best to assist. Okay, so first of all, the website I want to introduce is cplus.com, and I just want to say that this website has saved my ass a lot of times. So this is kind of like a library of all different types of code that you can find in C++, and a lot of information as well. It's like a database, essentially. And let's say, for an example, I'm working with a vector, and again, do not worry if you don't know what a vector is. You will know in a couple videos down. I want to know, how do I detect the size of a vector? So I would come up to the search, and I would type in vector, which I have already done, and I'm going to click go. So you're going to see right off the bat, it's going to provide that it's going to tell us that it's in the standard library, which is true, and it's going to give us some information, you know, kind of like a general overview in English about what it is. It's also going to talk to us about the properties that it contains as well. And down below, we're going to find the member functions, which is kind of what we were looking for. So as I said before, I want to know, how do I find how many elements are in a vector? I would go down and I would see size in this table, and it would say it returns the size. So if I want to have more information about that, I click OK. Let's click size and see what we get. So you can get more information about it as well, and if you look at the top line of code right here, it tells you how exactly you do, well actually it shows you down below in the examples how to actually implement this in your program. So basically, if you create a vector, you should be able to just call the vector name and then do size. And then you do the two braces, and you should be able to get a return size. Now, I know this doesn't make any sense, and I expect it not to make any sense if you're a pure beginner, but if you have experience, then you'll pretty much know what I'm talking about and what this is. But in a few videos down, I may provide some information that you might not already know, even if you are experienced. So I definitely wouldn't skip those videos if you do have some experience. So that's kind of the basic gist of cplus.com. Another resource I want to recommend to you guys is Stack Overflow. Now this looks pretty intimidating, and I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot. Lot of people on here that have a lot of experience, and you're gonna meet a lot of professionals on here. There's a lot of different people that have tons of years of industry experience with lots of programs and software engineering, and they're gonna understand a lot of things as well that you may not know about industry-wise. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of things that one can learn from the industries that one cannot learn in a classroom. For an example, in a classroom, you're never going to learn about an agile. And what agile is it's a particular software development style that software teams often create. Because in a classroom, you're not really working as a team per se. So that's something that you kind of get from an internship experience, pretty much. Which is why internships are really important if you're for somebody like me, which is why I'm really trying to get my ass into an internship. So anyways, you as you can see down here, it's kind of like Quora almost. It's like Quora for programmers. You basically you ask your questions, or you can search for a question button in the search bar, and you can pretty much find what you're looking for. So for an example, if I'm having trouble trying and using the size member function for my vector, I could just simply type in determine size of vector, and down below you're gonna see a whole bunch of questions, and you can pretty much sort this by relevancy, by votes. It doesn't really matter. As you can see, there's 500 results, and you're going to find a lot of questions on here that might answer your own question as well. It's a very popular website. Many programmers use this. It's a very valuable resource, and I even use this resource myself. So the reason why I'm making this video is because I think it's really important to kind of know how to look things up, because a lot of people like to start off their tutorials going to like Hello World programs and like that, and I could do that as well. I'm actually going to do that in the next part. However, the reason why I want to show you guys this is because you're going to run into problems. You're always going to run into problems. In fact, you spend more time debugging your software than you do actually typing it up. And that's just the truth. I know this from experience. At least 75% of the time, when I'm doing my projects, I'm not typing it up. I'm looking what the hell's wrong with my program. I'm trying to find the errors and the bugs, and sometimes I'd spend days pulling my hair just to find out that I accidentally had a typo somewhere. And when you're dealing with thousands of lines of code, and then eventually, if you're in the industry, you're going to be dealing with millions of lines of code, it's going to be a much more daunting task. So the purpose here is to help you become a better programmer, and also know how to use proper conventional programming practices as well, so that when you do enter industry, you have the skills that are expected of you once you get into there. And I'm going to do my best to help you with that, because like you, I was once a beginner, and basically it's a pretty daunting task when you're basically looking at an entire ocean and you don't know how to swim. So anyways, hope you found this helpful. I'm going to do apologize about uploading this much later. I am currently doing another full-time job right now, trying to find myself an internship, so I do apologize about the delay. In my next video, I will be creating a Hello World program, or because you're going to be creating it with me. And it's going to be our very first program. So basically, it's been a long time since I've been a beginner, so it's really hard for me to determine what's best of how a beginner should start. But I think that it's important first for a beginner to kind of see code first, and then go over it step by step, knowing what's going on per line, just so you kind of have an understanding of what's happening, because that's pretty much what I did when I first started. Anyways, if you found this video helpful, do click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, stay tuned for the next video.